Hey guys, my name is Haley, and I did in fact start filming this vlog as soon as I finished filming my other video, but I'm here to start my trans rights readathon reading vlog, which I am aware that this readathon has been 2 weeks. It is now a full week into the readathon. I haven't read anything. I've been in a reading slump and I was out of town all of last weekend, so I'm only going to be participating in the second half of the readathon, and I have far too ambitious of a TBR. So if you're still looking for books and you've already done this, if you missed the readathon entirely, which is very likely by the time this video goes up, at least you'll have a bunch of queer books that you can read. But I'm going to just go through my TBR, and I'm going to tell you the ones I am most likely to read of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 books I have in the folder on my Kindle of books that would fit any of the trans character, queer character prompts. First up, one of the ones I'm most likely to read because it's only 150 pages and I've been in a reading slump is A Psalm for the Wild Built. I've wanted to read this for a year. I believe it's about a non-binary robot. That is the extent of my knowledge. I think I have also heard that it has a lot of religious, ex-religious trauma. I could be making that up. I swear I've heard somebody say that. Don't hold me to it. Oh my god, it's by Becky Chambers. I didn't even realize that. I read her book, Small Way to a Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. That's what it's called, years ago, and I really enjoyed that one. But I never continued the series because I think I read the second book. I didn't love it, but I do know that I like her writing, so that's actually very exciting for me. Next up on the ones I'm most likely to read, Model Home. I've had this out from the library forever. This is by River Solomon. I read his book, or their book, The Deep, which I loved. I'm not sure that I've read anything else by them, but all of their books are queer. And this one's only 286 pages. Again, good for the reading slump. And then I have another one I've had out from the library for a while, and that is A Language of Limbs. I think I thought this was sapphic. Maybe it is, and I'm making that up, but I swear one of the characters is non-binary or trans. I'm not sure which. Do not hold me to that. This is also only 300 pages. I just know that it is a queer romance novel, and I've heard it compared to Call Me By Your Name, but with not gay men. And then the other one I'm most likely to read is We Can Never Leave by H.E. Edgman. This was the author of my favorite book of last year or the year before. I think it was the year before, which was Godly Heathens. Love that duology. One of my favorite duologies of all time. Possibly one of my favorite books of all time. This is their new novel, and I got it on release day last June, and I have not read it. I also own it physically over there somewhere. I think it's right there. But I may try to read it physically. I may read it on my Kindle. We'll see. Also, only 310 pages. I do think if I'm going to read anything, it's going to be those 4, maybe 2 of the 4, depending on how much my reading slump wants to ruin my time for the queer readathon. But other books I have on here are Woodworking by Emily St. James. I believe this is about a trans teacher. That's the extent of my knowledge. I also believe it's set somewhere in rural. This is one of the Dakotas, North Dakota, South Dakota, one of those. I also didn't even know this book was queer when it came out, but I'm excited for that one. And we have The Honeys. I honestly couldn't tell you what this is about, but it was on a lot of people's recommended. I think it's a thriller. That's the extent of my knowledge. Then I have... Whoa, okay, glitching Kindle. Then I have Chlorine, which I've wanted to read since it came out. I've heard everybody talk about it. It's very magical realism, and I tend to like those. And it's about a swimmer. And then I have Herculine, is the other book that I'm very excited about. I've also heard it's very confusing. I have a friend who is currently reading it for the readathon, and they're like, I'm just confused. But I'm enjoying it, and that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting from this book. I'm not sure that it will be a good book for me coming out of a reading slump, which is why I'm tentative to put it on my official TBR. And a few other books I don't really know anything about. I have Hamajang Luck, which I kept seeing a lot of people's TBRs or recommendations to put on your TBR. And then I have Sour Cherry, which I didn't even know was queer. I know it's a horror book, or I think it's a horror book. I own the ebook because it was on sale at one point. And then Awakened, which I believe is about trans witches, which sounds like a great time. So yeah, those are the books I have on my radar. Again, I do think Psalm for the Wild Bill, We Can Never Leave, Language of Limbs, and Model Home are the ones I'm most likely going to get to. But I'm going to actually remember to vlog because I haven't done a vlog in a while and I want to get back into the habit of it. And this was the perfect excuse to do so. So let's see when I end up taking another clip. Hopefully, when I'm reading something within the next 6 hours. Hello, it is hours later, and I have accidentally already finished 2 books, which is infinitely better than I could have imagined this going. So apparently, we are no longer in a reading slump. So go us. But I just binged through A Psalm for the Wild Bill. Psalm for the Wild Bill. I don't know if there's in there by Becky Chambers. I thought this was so cute. I loved the whole like theology discussions and the entire concept of like the difference between home and like the different feelings of family and having to explain like the human world to the robot when the robots had been banished. I don't want to give too much away, but I really enjoyed it so much that I downloaded the second part of the duology and also read that, which is something The Crown Shy. I had never even heard of the second one. I think I vaguely knew it was a duology, and I didn't even have it on my TBR, but I ended up reading both of them. They're both 150 pages. So I've already read like 300 pages on the first night, first go. That's not too bad. But I just started Herculean by somebody I can't remember, and it's already weird as hell. All I know about it is that it's a trans main character and there's something to do with a cult or a commune or something like that. So I'm going to be reading that for the remainder of the night, and then I think we're going to a book sale over in Ann Arbor tomorrow morning, me and my partner. So I will try to remember to get footage of that. I had Chipotle. I haven't had Chipotle in months. What with all of the financial issues and like unhoused crisis me and my partner went through last year, but yeah, we're going to Ann Arbor tomorrow. And then I will probably just try to sit and read as much as I can because I think I only have a stream tomorrow. I've been watching daily streams on Twitch of people that I follow, namely Madeline, and that is my only plan for tomorrow. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to watch their stream tomorrow because I will be in Ann Arbor, and that's like almost an hour drive from here. We also avoided all of the storms. There was like a severe thunderstorm, like tornado threat that was supposed to come through, and we avoided it. So, as somebody who has a phobia of tornadoes, very thankful for that. But yeah, I'm going to spend the rest of the evening trying to read this and not be confused. I had a friend that read it already for the Readathon and said it was very confusing. So we'll see how this one goes. It's already very weird. I can understand why and how it might be confusing. So that's my first update for this Readathon vlog, and I guess we'll all be happy to hear that I might actually finish the vlog since I'm not reading some, but that's probably going to be it for me tonight, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Hopefully with me remembering to take clips at a book sale. Hello, good afternoon. This is very close to my face and is tickling me. I am back from the book sale. We also stopped at a bookstore in Ann Arbor that I love. It's called the Literati Bookstore. Do I want to go get it? I'll go get it. Hold on. I got one book there, and I'm knocking everything over. The one book I got from the bookstore that was not from the library sale from the Literati bookstore. If you are in or around Ann Arbor, highly recommend. Every book I have ever bought from here is fantastic. I know I bought Mary there. Oh my god, this mic is driving me nuts. Hold on. Hopefully the sound quality is not awful. I got Project Hail Mary because I wasn't going to read this. I've been told to read this for the last 4 years since it came out. The movie came out. And everyone is saying it's like one of their favorite book to movie adaptations of all time. I did read The Martian, which is by the same author. And I thought it was fine, but I've heard this is so much better. And this has been on like everybody's top books of the year, favorite book of the year for like the last 4 years. Especially from people that I trust and actually know. So when they say that the book is this good and the movie is just as good, if not better, I listen. So I got Project Hail Mary. I also was looking for David Archuleta's book. What's this called? I think it's called Devout. It's his like life story in Mormonism and American Idol and all of that. And they said they will have it in 2 weeks. So I may go back there in a couple of weeks and see if they have that. But let's do the book haul. What if I clip it this way? That is not any better. How do I do this without it like touching me? Good enough. So I first got a bunch of history books. If you didn't know, Interest in Socialism. If you're not, please learn about it. Thank you. First of all, I got The Fate of the Jews in Nazi Europe. This has a lot of pictures and history. I've been collecting history books since a certain person got into office, and I was afraid everything was going away. So I have a bunch in my storage unit, and this is one that really interested me. This is specifically about individuals in communities during this time period, which I am interested in. I also got a bunch of books about socialism and communism. I find it fascinating. I think it's an interesting form of government. Argue with the wall. I watch Madeline Pendleton. I have watched Madeline for years. I watch their live every single day, or at least weekdays, that they go live on Twitch and talk about their trip to Cuba that they just went on. So anytime I find books about communism or Marxism or Leninism, any of those, I pick them up. So I have these two, which is called Anthracite Reds, Volume 1 and Volume 2. Do I know how many volumes there are? No. But this is about a documentary history of communists in northeastern Pennsylvania during the 1920s. I was born in Ohio. That's very close to home for me. I'm very interested. So I got those. I also feel like I'm losing my voice, and I don't know what that's about. Then we have The Communist Road to Power in Vietnam. I'm very interested in Vietnam because I feel like of the Asian countries, or the bigger, more well-known ones, I don't know very much about it. So I picked this one up. Then I have a book on Lenin by what sounds like a white man. So we'll see how that goes. When did this come out? It's called The Life of Lenin. He has also done ones on Stalin and Hitler, Gandhi. Interesting. This was written in 1964. That's actually very interesting to me. Well, there's pictures. I'm nothing if not obsessed with pictures. Who is it? Is it a picture of Lenin? I also participate in the chat in Madeline's lives. They're pictures of Lenin. I participate in the chat, and there's also a Discord where we talk about a lot of these things. This book smells so old. Whew, dusty. But I picked this one up. And then the last two of those, I have The Political Thought of Mao Zedong. Mao Zedong. I'm not good at Chinese. And this is a running joke about Maoists in the Discord and Madeline's lives with the chat regulars. So I had to pick up a book about Mao. And then I have The Birth of Communist China. If I were to move somewhere else in the world, at this time it would probably be China. So I pick up any books. I have a few on China, North Korea, and things like that I have also picked up at book sales recently. And then for the more exciting ones, or I guess less exciting. I got a notebook. I've always wanted one of these notebooks that has the little strap, and this is just a little. Ugh. It has the logo for like Ann Arbor on it. It's called Arbor Networks. No clue what that is. I love a good notebook. We have Toxic Charity, how churches and charities hurt those they help and how to reverse it. If you've been here for a minute, ex-church person, do not like the way the church handles those who are in need, both from personal experience and just general observance. So we got that one. We got Haunts of Mackinac, which I am in Detroit, if you didn't know. We've been here for the last 6 months. We're going to be here for at least a few more. And my parents this is autographed by the author. My parents did a trip to Mackinac a few years ago, and I did not get to go with them, and I was very upset about it. And my dad loves ghost stories, like ghost books, real life ghost encounters, so I had to pick up The Hauntings of Mackinac Island. What else do we have? We have, oh my god, did I only get one fiction book? Other than the Project Hail Mary? That's crazy. I have Planet of Slums by Mike Davis. Is this about the American South? I'm trying to remember. Or is it just the global South? From the sprawling barricades of Lima to the garbage hills of Manila. Oh, so in general. I think it's both American and the global South. That's very interesting. Poverty. Any books about poverty? As somebody who was homeless last year for several months, will always pick up. I also have several on my shelves currently. And then I have Young and Unhoused and Alone in America, if you see them. This is mostly about unhoused children and teenagers. Which the fact that that is even a thing in a supposed first world country infuriates me, especially as a teacher. So we have that. And then the only fiction book that I apparently got this entire trip was Light Up the Lamp by Kit Oliver. I've never heard of this. It looks like a gay hockey romance. Very heated rivalry coded. I have not watched nor seen nor read Heated Rivalry. I almost picked it up at the Literati bookstore because they had the whole series, and I was like, I don't have that kind of money right now because all of their books are full price. And they were like $18 a piece, and I was like, are they still on? Somebody let me know if those are on KU, because I do want to read them, but gay hockey romance. Had to pick it up for $1. And those are all the books that I got at the library book sale. They also do this regularly, so there will be another book sale in June, which I am definitely planning to go to. But yeah. I'm trying to think. I'm still reading Herculean. I don't remember if I talked about this last night. This is a lot less weird than I thought it was going to be. I heard a lot of people say it was super confusing. I'm not confused yet, and I'm about halfway through it. She just got to the cult commune, which is not a spoiler because that is in the blurb of the book, but I'm very excited to learn more about the cult commune of like trans girls. It sounds like a fun time. So I'm currently catching up on Madeline's Live that I missed today while I was at the book sale. And once I get through that, I'm going to continue reading this, and I will update you if I end up starting anything else or finishing this evening. My plan is to finish this evening and then start another book, hopefully. Fingers crossed. We'll see if that happens. Hello, good morning. I did not read anything last night, but we're going to spend the whole day reading today because I don't have any streamers live today. So I'm still reading Herculean. I'm currently 73%, and in the last 10%, I've actually really started to like it. At first I was like, okay, this is just weird. It really reminds me of, if you've read anything by Alison Rumfitt, I can't even think of the one that I really liked by them, but it very much reminds me of that writing style and just like weird girl lit in general. But I really like all of the religious trauma commentary in here, so it's currently sitting at a 4-star, which if you had asked me yesterday, I would have said this is easily going to be a 3-star, but I am going to finish that probably within the next hour, if not less, and then I'm going to try to start something else. Do I know what that something else is? No. If I had to guess, it might be Model Home by River Solomon because I think that's the next shortest of the ones, and I'm kind of just trying to binge through all of my shorter books that are under 300 pages today. The vast majority of my reading is probably going to happen today and tomorrow on the weekends when I have no streamers live. So that is my current update, and I think that's it. I'm more surprised that I'm actually enjoying Hercules now because I really did not think I would like it. And I've had a few friends be like, this was really weird. But I am really connecting to not only the religious trauma, but there's also just a lot of imagery about the Midwest in general because the commune is set in Indiana. And as someone from Ohio, the like Midwestern vibe and atmosphere is really coming through in this. So I might also be biased on that front as somebody who gets the Midwest references, especially against queer people. So I'm really enjoying it, which is a surprise to me. And I'm actually kind of happy about that because I was worried that this was going to knock me off of my wanting to read more because I wasn't sure if I would like this one. And the other two books that I've already read, the Psalm for the Wild Built duology, were really, really cute. So this definitely is not cute. It's very traumatic and definitely triggers. And I don't love all of the sex extremities used in this. But other than that, I'm really enjoying the vast majority of the story. So that's my update for this morning. Hello, it is the next morning. I read 2 entire books yesterday. I ended up finishing Hercules Consensus. I actually really liked it. I didn't love the ending, but I also have no idea how else that book could have ended because it was so crazy. I honestly really liked all of the talk about the differences between the type of God that people worship, that form of the religious trauma from our trans main character, about how she was taught a mean God or an angry, vengeful God, but the God that her grandma seemed to serve, which is supposedly the same Christian God, was very much a softer God. I don't know how else to say that. I really liked the whole discussion around that. I found the commune actually the least interesting thing about this book, but I really, really liked pretty much everything else about it. So 4 stars for that one. And then I read the entirety of Model Home yesterday. I really like River Solomon. I really liked their book, The Deep, which I read years ago, and it has stuck with me over the years. This one was not my favorite. I will come right out and say that. It was only like 200 some pages, so I read it very quickly in one sitting. But it was very lyrical, which I was expecting because I think all of their books are. And honestly, there was no trigger warnings, and that kind of dampened my enjoyment on this because the like plot twist, if you don't want to know it, I'm going to give you a very small spoiler. I don't consider it a spoiler because I think it should have been a trigger warning. There is CSA involved in this. And as somebody who's been reading a lot of books that involve CSA, like 2 of the Boys of Tommen books had it. What was the other one? I think Hercules also had it, if I'm remembering correctly, and then Model Home also was dealing with it. So I'm just in one of those moods where I'm like, I need people to either make that a very obvious trigger warning on a trigger warnings page or not do it at all. I don't like it as a plot twist. So I ended up giving Model Home 3 stars. I also, again, slight spoiler for Model Home, I don't like when the idea is that we're talking about ghosts the entire book, and then the plot twist ends up being not actually ghosts, not supernatural. Don't like that. But anyway, I started The Lesbiana's Guide to Catholic School, and I'm very excited about this. I've been wanting to read this for years, and I did not realize the author was trans. So I'm excited to read that for this readathon, and I'm really, really enjoying it so far. So I will talk more about that. We're about to go on a Costco run, and then I will be back to read for mainly the majority of the day. Hello, it's been a minute since I updated anything. I ended up finishing The Lesbiana's Guide to Catholic School. Was it yesterday? What's today? Tuesday? So I didn't film anything on... Whose alarm is that? That's not my alarm. Ignore that. That is for my partner's work. I finished The Lesbiana's Guide to Catholic School and I loved it so much. There's so much queer representation in this. There's so much like talks about racism. I was obsessed. This book is just as good as everybody says it is. And I think that's the only thing I've finished. And then I'm on my last book for the readathon since today is Tuesday and it ends this evening. And that is We Can Never Leave by H.E. Edgman. H.E. Edgman wrote one of my favorite books of all time, and that is The Godly Heathens duology, which was my favorite book of not last year, the year before. And I'm actually really enjoying this. This does not have great ratings, but I'm about halfway through it. And it's very much a meandering storyline of a bunch of queer children who are also not quite human. And that's all I'm really going to say about it. But there were a few lines in here that are like really getting me. And that's why I also just really love H.E. Edgman's writing. But I'm going to focus on finishing this today. I'm going to watch a few of my streamers are going to be live today. So I do think this is probably going to be the last book that I read, but I think that means I've read the two Psalm for the Wild Built. What was the other one? Herculean Model Home and Lesbiana's Guide. So this will be my 6th book for the readathon, which is way better than I thought I was ever going to do at any of this. So yeah, I'll update you later, probably around the time that I finish this, and then we'll recap all the things that I've read, and then we'll wrap up this vlog. Hopefully, because it's supposed to go up on Friday. Hello. It is Wednesday and I'm ending the vlog because I ended up finishing my book yesterday, and this was the final book of the trans rights readathon that I ended up reading, and this just had a bunch of queer characters, so I'm going to sit here and wrap up all of the books that I read, but this was the final one, and I read 6 books, which I feel like is really, really good for someone who is in a reading slump and had not read anything but Boys of Tommen for a month. If not longer. It might have been a month and a half, but I'm going to quickly run through all the books that I finished, give you like my general rating, and then I'm going to close up this vlog. So, the first 2 books that I finished were Psalm for the Wild Built and A Prayer for the Crown Shy. I really liked both of these. They're both like 150 pages, so like in total 2 novellas that would equal out to a book. I read them back to back. They were really cute. It's kind of just a story of what it means to be human, an essence of like the mundanity of life, and like learning to understand not only who you are but others who aren't like you. So in this case, it's a human and a robot. The main character was non-binary, I believe, and I gave both of them 3.5 stars. I really like Becky Chambers' writing. I do think A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet is still my favorite book of hers, but I really enjoyed these, and I'm glad that I finally read them. And then this third book that I ended up reading was Herculean, which was 272 pages, and the trigger warnings for this one, most of these had trigger warnings, so I'm just going to throw those in there. The trigger warnings were transphobia, religious trauma, trans girl, commune cult turns weird. So cult, I guess, would be the trigger warning there. But this also had a ton of religious trauma, so be aware of that. That is the reason I enjoyed it so much, to be honest. And I really liked the commentary and comparison between like her grandmother's version of God and the version of God that she was brought up with. So like her grandmother's God was more of a soft friend like character that wasn't scary, and the God that she grew up with as a trans girl in the world that she was in was very like angry and just like wrathful God. I actually ended up really liking this. I thought the cult itself was really interesting up until the supernatural elements. So there's a heads up, there are supernatural elements in this. But I also really, really just enjoyed all of the religious commentary. And I feel like I enjoyed this more than most people because I gave this 4.25 stars. I thought it was a great book, and I would love to buy a copy for my shelves because this is probably going to go in my like queer books for like religious trauma girlies, I think is what I've been trying to call that video, which will eventually come out. Then the 4th book that I finished was Model Home by River Solomon. I was somewhat disappointed in this, mainly because I'm going to come up right front. If you find a trigger warning, which is technically also the plot twist, to be a spoiler, I'm going to give you like when I put my hand down, the spoiler will be over. The trigger warning for this that I never saw anyone ever see, and I've seen several people read this book since it came out, was CSA. CSA is a huge part of this book, and I feel like even though it's technically a plot twist, there should have been a trigger warning for it. That's my opinion. Thank you. But this, in true River Solomon fashion, is very, very lyrical, haunting writing. I also will say this had one of my things where it's a will they, won't they, or more is there or is there not actual supernatural elements to this. I will not spoil that for you, but I was not happy with the ending. And that is a personal preference of mine. I like to compare it to that, which what's it called? The Riley Sager book where they're in like a haunted hotel. It reminded me a lot of that book, but with much deeper topics. Talking about like sisterhood and everything, which their parents die early on. They were super rich, and these sisters are left to figure out what to do with the house that they think is haunted. I enjoyed it. Mostly, I did not like the plot twist. I did not like that there was no trigger warning for a very serious topic in this, so I give this 3 stars. Then, possibly my favorite book of the readathon, I read The Lesbiana's Guide to Catholic School, which is 385 pages. This is Mexican lesbian teenager goes to a new school, determined to be straight, or act straight. The trigger warnings in this one are homophobic parents specifically, but homophobia in general. The other trigger I put was teenagers being assholes, mainly in terms of homophobia and suicidal ideation, because I never saw anybody talk about that part of the book either. This had really, really good commentary on like sexuality. It had really good commentary on racism. It had really good commentary on how religion affects people in the sense of making them more homophobic, which is a topic I love to explore because as a queer person who came out of a church cult, big problem in those spaces. But this is every bit as good as everybody says that it is, and I'm glad that I finally read it. I think it only came out like a year or 2 ago, and I've wanted to read it since, so I'm very glad that I got around to this one for the readathon, and it counted because the author is non-binary, so that was why I read this one for the Trans Rights Readathon. And then last, I read We Can Never Leave by H.E. Edgman. This is my favorite author of the last couple of years. I've loved all of their books, and this was actually very surprising for me because this does not have very high ratings on Goodreads. To be fair, I don't know that all of H.E. Edgman's books have like high ratings. I should actually check that. But their writing tends to work for me. And this is a group of queer, non-human creatures trying to find a space in the world, both figuratively and like literally, because they travel in a caravan. It's a very culty caravan. And one day they wake up and all of the adults are gone. And it's just this ragtag group of kids trying to figure out where all of them went, where they're supposed to go, how they can find help. And I can't tell you why because it would spoil the entire ending, but this is the exact type of book that I really love. I really loved the ending. I liked the big reveal. This, not necessarily in a lot of ways, but something about this gave me the same vibes as the book Neverworld Wake by Marisha Pessel that came out years ago, and it was one of my favorite books. Something about this really reminded me of that. So I'll leave you with that, especially the ending. So I really enjoyed this. I gave this 4.5 stars. I seem to be in the minority there because it seems that a lot of people did not like this one, but that was my final book of the readathon and my 6 books in I think 6 days that I actually filmed. But that's my wrap up for the Trans Rights Readathon. If you participated, please let me know in the comments down below what your favorite book that you read in the last week or 2 was, because I only did half of the readathon due to a lot of travel the first week. And if you don't have anything else to say, leave me the trans flag emoji in the comments down below. Thank you all for watching, and I will see all of you guys next time.